Greetings, family. How you guys doing? Hope you're all well. Hope you're all um, taking advantage of this powerful week. Hope you're taking care of yourself, getting plenty of rest, being gentle with yourself, moving with a little patience and care. Um, yeah, just being present. I hope you're being present. Um, I'm saying that because my energy is a little low today. And yeah, so a couple of announcements. First of all, for those that are just tuning in, my name is Cassandra Faye Floyd, also known as the Daughter of the Fates, founder of the Temple of Evolutionary Emergence. I want to thank you all. I'm sorry I'm a little late. Um, Carlotta, Dura Allah, Healing of the Nation. I am Caleb Joseph M. Thank you all for tuning in. I'm just going to do the read today, but there's an announcement that I would like to make. My intention was to later this evening at 9:36 to do facilitate like a Zoom, like we're calling it an Oracle study. But I'm tired today. My energy is really low today. Nothing that I have been deliberate about doing to you know, change that has worked. So I'm not going to fight it. I am going to be gentle with myself. And after I get done with the reading today, I'm going to chillax the rest of the day. And yeah, I think I'm going to chill. I'm not going to facilitate the Oracle study this evening. And I'm going to focus my energy on some other things that are kind of important. But yeah, I did want to do this reading because this book is jamming. This book is the game changer. This book is right on time, you understand? And so I did want to read this evening. The name of the book is Pure Lust, Elemental Feminist Philosophy by Mary Daly. Pure Lust, Elemental Feminist Philosophy by Mary Daly. Um, so yeah, I may have to I'll talk about that on another day. Greetings, Letitia. Greetings, everyone. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thanks, Carlotta. Just trying to. It's been a good day. It hasn't been a bad day. A friend came to take me to lunch because she was unable to attend my birthday party, and that was nice. It was good seeing her, and it's been a good day. But I am I'm just feeling kind of weird. I'm feeling kind of a little out of body right now, and so I'm not going to push through. So yeah, I'm just gonna take a day. I'm gonna take the rest of the day. So with that being said, another thing that I do want to talk about briefly, and I may talk about more like in depth later, but the reading that we did, let's see, was it it was the reading from the temple. It wasn't. It was. It was from. It was one of the cards that I pulled last night for one of the people who actually reached out for the tarot reading. What was that card? It was a stones card. I pulled the Ace of Stones. That's what it was. Oh my God. Okay, so somebody, let me just say this. Somebody last night, matter of fact, Letitia had me pull this. Letitia had me pull oh, internet is annoying me. Um, let me see if let's see. I don't have anything else open, so let me just. She's so frustrating. I don't have anything else open. I don't. I don't know. I might have to find another service provider because this shit doesn't make any sense. Why all of a sudden I've been doing lives for literally 2 years in this apartment, and all of a sudden every single video that I do, the connection is slow. Whatever. It's just no. Even when I go back to watch lives that I've done, just because this has only been happening this slow, and so the video is dragging. It's crazy. I might just have to find another service provider. It's something I'll deal with later. But anyway, while I've got some time, the Ace of Stones was the second card that I pulled. Was it? No, it wasn't. I thought, yeah, it was the Ace of Stones. Yes, it was the Ace of Stones that I pulled last night for Letitia, the second card. And I was telling Letitia, to like survey your terrain. And one of the big takeaways from the card is in order to receive abundance that is certain, the card, shows you that abundance in your life is certain and that everybody is rallying on your behalf from the earth and from heaven to ensure that, to guarantee that abundance is yours, that abundance is certain. But one of the things that you may need to do is be a blessing to others by parting ways with those things in your surroundings that you're no longer grateful for, that you no longer feel grateful for when you see it, when you pick it up. Like you were, like that happens to me as a matter of fact. I was just telling the homegirl that came and took me today to lunch how I just parted ways with these two paintings that I had had for a long time, since like 2005, and I still love them. I still loved these paintings so much. I did not want to part ways with these paintings. But I have a small apartment. I'm trying to prioritize what I can have here. I was like, oh, I should just keep them for when I do have my house, for when I do have the temple. I should just keep them. But when I took them with me, I went to this event, the event that I went to speak at. I took them with me. These two pictures that I'd had for a long time that I really loved. But every time I looked at them, I didn't feel the urge to hang them. I felt like because I loved them, I was keeping them. But even in keeping them, I didn't feel like the urgency to put them on to hang them, right? And I was like, okay, I love these pictures, but they represent a different part of my life, a very, very, very different part of my life. So maybe I should, post them up and see what happens. See if somebody, will appreciate them in the way that I always have. And so I parted ways with these two paintings, and it was hurtful. Like my feelings were hurt about these paintings. But even though I still love them, they reminded me of a period of my life that I am no more. I'm not that person anymore. I don't feel the same way anymore. My circumstances are radically different. So I was like, you know what? Just stop being emotionally attached to stuff and just part ways with the pictures, right? So one sister, an elder, saw one of the paintings and she was like, oh my God, I love it so much. I love it so, so much. My mother would love this so much. And the woman that stopped me was probably a little older than my mom, and her mom is still living. She's like, my mom would love this. She's like, the only problem is I do not have any money today. I was like, well, you know what? Take the painting and I will give you the information on how to pay. I didn't charge much of anything for paying at all, like really nothing at all. I was like, but I'll take the information on how to pay, and when you get paid, you can just send me the payment. Um, and in my head, I'm like, you know what? She loved it so much. She made such a big deal about it. If she pays, cool. It'll be cool. If she doesn't, no harm, no foul. It was for her anyway. It was meant for her, right? So this was about 2 weeks ago. So and I forgot about it. As soon as I gave it to her, I forgot about it. And about 2 days ago, I got some money in my Cash App, and I was like, "What is this for? What is this for?" And then she sent me an email saying, "I sent you money. Thank you so much for the painting. My mom lost her mind. She loved it." And I was like, "Okay, cool," because I was fine. When I said I was gonna give her the painting, and if she paid, cool. If she didn't, cool. I literally left it right where it was, cool. And if money came, cool. It would be a blessing. Awesome. And so thinking about that today, thinking about this card that I pulled for Letitia last night about surveying your terrain, and even how I got up yesterday was on one about I ran through my kitchen. But I'm giving all this shit away. I'm keeping one plate, one saucer, one bowl, one spoon, one fork. I'm getting rid of the rest of this shit. I feel like that's what is going on in my body right now today. Like, how sometimes you get burdened energetically by the amount of things that you have in your space, by like the energetic space that these things take up. And so ever since yesterday, when I woke up on one about my kitchen and then pulled this card for Letitia, I was certain when I pulled the card for Letitia, that Ace of Stones card, that card was just as much for me as it was for her. And I feel like that's what I'm feeling in my body today, is like just a kind of integration of that, and the knowing that is what's taking up space. That is what is perpetually burdening me. And I said that long ass word. That was a long ass way to say some shit that I wanted to say. So I spent a lot of money to have a storage unit transferred from Florida to here, and I've been in the slow process of kind of sorting through all this stuff. I already had a lot of stuff in the apartment, and then I just brought all this extra stuff into the apartment. So I'm in the process of sorting through this stuff right now, and a lot of it is jewelry making stuff. I had a really pretty thriving jewelry business in Florida before I came out here. And so I'm going through, oh my God, just extraordinary. I could not even begin to communicate to you how much stuff was just about like my jewelry business. And so I was sitting here today going through, and I just relaunched my Etsy page, and so I'm sitting here going through stuff, looking to fill an order, getting ready to fill this order, going through this bag of jewelry, this one particular bag of jewelry that I've got easily like 120 dog tags that are already made, and like Orisha dog tags and like Black Power dog tags, and all kinds of dog tags, about 125 of them, because I was looking, because I was like, damn, I really don't want to make a new dog tag. I surely have a dog tag of this type already in the bag. The thought of making the dog tag, the thought of sifting through these dog tags to look for the dog tag. I've been making, the journals that you guys see, on my different pages that I make, the fabric covered journals. I've been working on new journals for days for those, in preparation for this event where I literally made $0. I only made what I spent for the booth, and I ended up making, I'll show you the inside first. I ended up making earring cards and about, I think, 65 pairs of earrings that I made for this event. 65 pairs of earrings that I made for the event, and I did that in like 3 days. 65 pairs of earrings in 3 days. I ended up making like, I don't know, 20 fabric covered journals to make $100 being there all day. It's just like I'm trying to explain something to you. I guess I'm kind of venting a little bit. Um, I did not feel in assessing today what I already have made. Like when I get to doing stuff, I feel it. I'm in it. I'm about it. Like I'm like, yes, it takes me a while to get, like inspired, but once I'm in it, I'll be in the zone. I'm doing it. Right? And I'm still very deliberate about how I create. I'm very I set a mood, I sage the space, I light candles, the whole thing. I play music. I don't watch TV while I'm creating. I play music. But today, when just, I guess, like, looking through my inventory, right? I did not feel the way that I used to about it. I didn't feel like excitement or joy about it. And I felt like I did yesterday morning when I got up and said I was going to get rid of all my dishes. I felt like that about the product that I had already made. Product that's a part of me. Product that I, put a whole part of myself in. Now all of a sudden it felt burdensome. Like my kitchen dishes and shit. You feel me? And so I'm thinking about this card. And not only the aspect of the card that tells you to be honest with yourself in the assessing of your environment, to see where you can free up space to welcome new and fresh energy and abundance. But there's another card that we did pull on Saturday. Was it a stone card, or it was either a stone card or a pipes card? And I don't have my notebook in front of me, but it was a pipes card that I pulled on Saturday because I remember the image in my head. She was sitting there and she had all the elements in front of her: the stones, the bowls, the pipes, the arrows. But there was a little kid behind her. Remember, she was sitting there and it looked like she was doing something, like she was eating. You feel me? But behind her, there was a child watching her every move. So even as her energy, she's not actually teaching, she's not deliberately teaching. She is like, I got to make this money. I got to create. I got to do this thing, right? I got to focus this energy, create this thing that secures me, right? But in the process of creating, she's always teaching. She's always teaching. Somebody's always watching. She's teaching, right? And so between Saturday, that card, which did stand out to me at the time, but then today and last night, I was like, it's not just. And I'll say something else. On Saturday night when we did the reading, Carlotta asked me a question. I pulled for her, right? And she was like, okay, yeah, maybe the apprenticeship thing. So we talked about that. So between those three things, I recognized that, yes, I wanted to, I've been talking some time about taking the time studiously to develop workshops or or like an apprenticeship program, an organized apprenticeship program, or getting certified to teach CEUs or whatever, because I recognize part of my frustration, which is what I'm getting to. And so when Carlotta asked, it relit a fire, in me about, needing to teach. And I taught right out of college. I taught high school, 5th grade through 12th grade, right out of high school. I loved teaching. I loved it, right? And so between those three cards, at service, Saturday night, pulling for Carlotta, and then also pulling this card last night for Letitia, I recognized something. That some of my stuckness and frustratedness is so much going on in my personal life, in my personal space. Plus, there is so much going on in my extended space, ambitions, things I want to do, trying to realize in a more profound way this thing that we call the Temple of Evolutionary Emergence. And There is so much going on outside of my personal life in the world and this, that, and the other. And I thought that my lives, which I've been doing for a long time now, since before pandemic, my lives, I thought in my mind, were the way or the avenue through which I could teach. I thought that these lives, the reading of these books and just, every now and again, like just purging what is coming through, right? Doing the movie reviews, which is really dope and powerful. But in just these few days, I realized that it's not just my immediate surroundings. It's not just my extended surroundings. It's not the noise of the world at large, not just the noise of the world at large. It is this thing that I talked to Letitia about last night in the surveying of my terrain, of those things that I need to get rid of, because even though they might like consciously be like, oh, there's a memory attached to it, or oh, I remember when such and such, immediately I am not in my body or in my heart or in my spirit like, oh, I'm so grateful for this. Yes, I still need this. I should keep this. If I say I still keep it or I still need it, it's because it's here. It's not because it's here. It's the holding on to, right? The irrational holding on to. But I have come to realize, baby, in these last few days, that it's not just things that I can physically see. I have acquired so much information in my lifetime. I have acquired so many experiences in my lifetime. And there is not a consistent valve through which I can release that which I have learned, those experiences that I have acquired, that information that I have acquired in a way that is immediately impactful to others, for others. I hope that was clear. Like I do the lives, I appreciate you guys tuning in. I appreciate the feedback because it's helpful. It helps me to navigate, to fine tune this thing that I am daily, and I want you to know daily, trying to build as the temple of evolutionary emergence. There is not a moment that it is not on me, the urgency of this thing I'm attempting to build, right? But what I have come to understand is that this giving and receiving, this simultaneous giving and receiving, this simultaneous um, cyclic, cyclical exchange, this cyclical energetic exchange, ongoing, simultaneous exchange, giving and receiving, and how I have not, this is not doing it. The lives is not enough. The lives are not enough to release the way I need to those experiences and things that I have acquired over this lifetime to others in a way that is immediately and evidentiarily what's the word I'm looking for? Impactful. I'm not releasing enough. I'm not letting go of enough of these experiences, these skills, and so on, that is immediately impactful, where I can see immediately that these things that I've galvanized, the skills, experiences, knowledge, wisdom, are immediately impactful in the lives of someone else. That is not to say that our relationship, those of you who tune in regularly, those of you who have been rocking with me since the beginning, those of you who, heard the call of the great cosmic mother rediscovering the religion of the earth and said, this is something different, and you have been rocking with me. That's not to make light of this energetic exchange that I feel like is important and necessary and impactful, at least for me. That's what I'm always struggling is, like, as hype as I am about the shit, I hope y'all are as hype. That I hope that what I'm communicating to you is impactful. But when I started thinking today about, the last 24 hours, thinking about this jewelry that I spent all this time making, cute little, just cute little trinkets. Understand? I was like, I like that whole apprenticeship thing is like at a state of urgency right now. Like I should not, I'll be honest, I shouldn't be making journals. I shouldn't be spending hours and hours and hours making journals. They're dope, they're wonderful. That's why I make them because I'm like, these are gorgeous. These are wonderful. I told you for every two that I make quote to sell, I keep one for myself. Do that. You feel me? But I should not be making journals at 48 years old. I should be teaching young people, 15 to 24, how to make journals so they can start their own little personal side hustle. You feel? That's what I should be doing. I should be transferring that skill to someone that it can be immediately impactful for them. Some young person who, don't want to go work at motherfucking McDonald's or whatever and wants to learn. I was just telling the bossy this. He's like, don't do it, don't do it. I was telling the bossy after the new year, I'm not vending anywhere anymore. I'm not doing marketplaces. I'm not doing that. I'm not going and setting up a tent and being somewhere all day. Sometimes the money is good, it's hit or miss. Sometimes the money is good. Sometimes you just make what you spend. But I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that anymore. As a matter of fact, what I think I will do, this is what I've told Apostle when he's here. What I think I will do is I will teach young people how to rock this process from beginning to end. That's what I was doing with my kids when they were in the house. My daughter and my stepkids. Everything I was doing to sustain us, I was teaching them every step of the way. I taught my kids how to do hair. I taught my kid, even the male child, taught my kids how to do hair. I taught my kids how to make jewelry. I taught my kids how to make the journals. I taught my kids how to do the suggestive selling when we would go out and do booths. But I'm not going to do that anymore. These are skills that it's like I'm holding on to, and they're not serving me. I may make $100 here, $300 there, but they're not serving me. And right now, they're taking up space. They're taking up space. You understand? And so I'm like, yeah, I need to establish a process for all of these skills that did serve me at one time. Like I wouldn't have got through medical school without my jewelry business. I wouldn't have gotten through medical school without being able to do hair for people. I'm not about to do nobody hair, even though the money is radical out here. Like I was like, man, I really need money. Like this shit is crazy. I should not be struggling for the bare essentials. Let me go out here and start doing hair. And they charging motherfuckers $150 to do their head. Shit, I was not charging that much for and still helped me through. I was charging $85 to do people hair, $65 to do people's hair. They make money out here. Let me go get this coin. You feel me? I do not need to have multiple hustles and skills. I need to create I'm telling you, through the temple, a process, especially where young people, I'm always harping on artistry, artists, how to invigorate, re-excite young people about art being something that's not just something that can sustain them in the immediate, but that can always communicate a vision ongoing of how the world is in real time changing. So I'm like, damn, I'm sitting here surrounded. I'm telling you, I hauled out of that storage unit a minimum, and I still had to leave half my shit there, a minimum of $15,000 worth of jewelry supplies. I'm not joking. I got so much stuff in here that it's been overwhelming. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna make this jewelry and I'm gonna do that. But I do not feel in my spirit the way that I did when I had my kids at home, when we were making the jewelry together, this was our business. And I'm like, I know I might seem ranting, but I think it's necessary because I sat here today thinking about jewelry and thinking about, journals. And I'm gonna spend X number of hours today finishing making journals, and then I'm gonna spend maybe 3 hours doing some jewelry, and then I'm gonna, go through and start following up on this research about grants for the temple. And, you know what I'm saying? And can't figure out. So I would. So what I decided today was I'm going to finish making the journals that I started, which is just a few. I think I'm total. I will have about maybe. I think I may have about 50 journals made total. After I finish making these journals, after I finish making the jewelry that I have out to make, I I'm not doing it anymore. I'm not doing it anymore. I'm going to switch gears and figure out how to rapidly transfer these skills to young people. Take it, run with it. Give me credit if you want to. Don't, that's fine. Go out here and make your little coins, you feel me? Let me teach you the jewelry making process from beginning to end. Let me teach you how to come up with your own little cute designs, your own little funky stuff. Teach you where to get your shit wholesale. You understand? Ethically. You understand? Like me. But after I'm done with this, I have to be done with it. This is me surveying my terrain and seeing the places where I need to give, give in the form of just um allowing that which has been a blessing to me to be a blessing to someone else because I no longer feel grateful for it. That's some hard shit to accept. That's some hard shit to accept. But I learned these skills. It took me years to master my craft. This is the shit that was happening in my head. It took me years to master my craft. No, maybe I need to do X, Y, Z and do these big workshops where I can make at least some coin. I'm not doing that. I'm gonna try to figure out how to do like little workshops for high school students. I told my homegirl that took me out to lunch today. Let your daughter come over here let your daughter come over here a day a week for a couple hours. Every time she come here, I will teach her something new. That way she can get out of her house. She's an artist. She can do it. She can take the bare essentials of what I teach her and then run with it and do her own thing. But yeah, I'm not gonna do this anymore. I'm gonna sell all this shit. I'm gonna sell all the jewelry. I'm gonna sell all the books. I'm gonna sell all the crafting supplies. Somebody came in here today. I was like, damn, this place looks like a fucking craft store. You got so much shit in here. I was like, I know. And I think that's what's taking up a lot of headspace. There are bigger things that I need to be doing. There are bigger things that we need to be doing. And there is a way that because of urgency or because of need, we allow too much shit to take up really vital, valuable space. I am primarily, not exclusively, but I am primarily talking about women. I am primarily talking about women of color. I did not want to get caught in the trap that was of urgent necessity when I was married and when I was in medical school and when there were 3 teenagers and at one time 4 teenagers living in my house. The jewelry business, the hair business was of upright urgency. I didn't have the time. I didn't have the calm. I didn't have the stillness. I was not capable at the time of being present enough to do this kind of analysis, to see the connections in these things. A reading in temple on Saturday, a random card pull on Saturday night, a card pull yesterday that had me woke up out of bed this morning. Like, why do you wake up thinking about the various things that you need to do for the bare minimum process of supporting your life with the ambition of doing something bigger? You can't. And there's too much in here taking up space, preventing you from the kind of clarity, peace, calm, and presence that will demystify your answers, that will clarify that which is right in front of you, but so much shit is taking up space. So that was a word. I didn't mean to do it. Wasn't here to do a long, introduction, but there was a reason that I got on here. I was like, why? It's like everything I know to do to keep my energy up, I did today. And I have been burdened, not feeling bad. Like I said, it was a good day. Here, I'm in a great mood. I feel good. You understand? But physically feeling like weighed down. And when I sat down to start making journals, yet again, I was like, well, why am I doing this? I am not the woman that I was when I was new in medical school, trying to balance a life where I didn't have to work for a corporation. I needed to work for myself to free up the kind of time to go to school full time. I was working full time in the movement. Yeah, I was spread so goddamn thin. I was transparent. My nickname in the movement was the White Rabbit. Every time we see you, you got somewhere to go. You got something to do. You always on the run. That's not me anymore. That's not my life anymore. And so these things that are really valuable skills, really valuable information don't fit. They don't fit anymore. They don't fit anymore. So they don't fit anymore. They are valuable. They continue to be extremely valuable, but they are intended to be valuable for someone else. These are skills that I am intended. I am supposed, I feel it. These are skills I am supposed to be handing over to someone else, to many someone else's. These are skills I am meant to be handing over, to be relinquishing, to not keep hogtied to myself because they're my experiences. I perfected this craft, and this is all the shit I had to do to make my shit lay out just perfect. And these are all the kinks that I had to work out. I did it. But today is off me. It's like, clear the space, girl. Not just your little house. Because when I'm talking about transferring these skills and talking about, selling the last of what I've made to move this shit out of the way. Anyway, whatever. Um, this isn't, this is not, this does not these things. Yes, 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 yeah, exactly, Letitia. I'm going to start doing it. Yeah. Um, I'm a different person. I am a completely different person with completely different needs and a completely new and different worldview and place in that world, completely new ambitions, dreams, and such, trying to superimpose the old things of my life into that. I need to call my mama because this morning when I thought about this, like I do, I need to get rid of this stuff, but not just blanket get rid of it, pass it on in a way that is purely like centered in love and gratitude for being able to share this gift with someone else that it can be immediately impactful with. And I thought about my mama this morning because even before I spent this $1,900 to transfer the storage unit out here, hog tied to my things, I need my things. And I'm glad I did because my books, they ain't going nowhere. The only thing in life I will never get rid of is my books. Okay? But when my mama told me you need to go down there and take what you absolutely cannot part ways with and sell and give away the rest of that shit, I was like, no, I need my stuff. I need my stuff. And when I started going through these boxes, I was like, 75% of this shit I could have left right where it was. Because I was still tied to an old version of myself. And everything in that unit was connected to, I was still heartstring tied to, viscerally tied to this old me. And the old me and the me that is right now cannot coexist. It's like the old me, it's like a serpent. The skin is you, it's part of you. But when it's time to shed the skin, the serpent is not emotionally attached to it like this. But I need this. It's been with me all this time. I can't part ways, but this is me. The serpent doesn't do that. The serpent says, okay, well, it's time to evolve. So I got to shed all this old shit in order for the more beautiful, the more evolved, the more enlightened, the bigger, the better, the more perfect version of me to emerge. And I can't carry all this old shit into this new emergence. Oh, 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 baby. Oh my God. Child, I'm having a moment. So yeah. So that's all I'm gonna say about that. I'm gonna keep my little Etsy page up for a little while I move. I'm gonna revamp the whole thing, taking everything down that is not made, because I have a lot of stuff there. I was like, yeah, I'll just make to order. I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that. The only thing that I will continue to sell on my Etsy page is that which is already made. I'm going to spend the next few days making what I already have laid out. I may even like bag up shit. You feel me? Like do little mini bags of like what you call it, like wholesale shit. You feel me? All these. If I can show y'all a picture of all the stuff that I have beautifully organized in my closet, thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars worth of beads. Just beads, not even the other supplies, not the tools, not the drills, not the saws, just beads. Y'all would be like, this woman is a goddamn maniac. This woman is a maniac. Okay. And so beautifully color coordinated and organized in my perfect bins. Because I'm a Virgo. I live in organized chaos sometimes, but when I get something organized, that shit is pristine, right? But yeah, that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna take everything down off my Etsy page over the next few days that is not made. Anything that's not made, I'll take it down. I'll replace it with only the things that are made. Right now, I will finish making the rest of these books just so I can get them out of my house, these journals. And like I said, I got about 45, 50 of them made. I'm going to sell everything at a stupid discount and get this shit out of my life. I'm going to sell everything at a stupid discount and y'all are in luck. Because all these holiday seasons about to start kicking y'all in the ass. You feel me? So this is purge season. This is purge season. Let's see. Thank you, Nura Allah. That's dope. Yes, instant. Yeah. So, I would love your support in this new period of purge. Like I said, I will make it easy for you guys to support me in this purge. So I will be selling the journals for dumb cheap. I will be selling all the jewelry for dumb cheap. So all this little stuff that I already have made in this box, all these little things. What I'll probably do is buy 1 for 10, 2 for 15, or 3 for 20, something like that. Got like little goddess earrings. Yeah, that's what I'm gonna do. 1 for 10. Ooh, I didn't even show y'all these because I haven't even posted these yet, but I made a ton of the cutest little owl earrings. Oh, they're so cute. They're like copper colored. You can't really see the metallic on the screen, but they're copper colored, cute little metallic owl earrings. So yeah, I'll do like 1 for 10, 2 for 15, 3 for 20, something like that. Just move those out of the way. I've got these cute little dangly ones. Yeah. So that's what I'm gonna do with that. Just move everything. And I'm because I was like, well, maybe I should just go somewhere and set up a booth and move it quick. I'm not doing that either. I'm gonna put the shit on my Etsy page. move it, whatever. Anybody got a birthday coming up? Email me at releaseheartcenter@gmail.com. I'll gift you a pair of earrings. Whatever. I just need all of this shit out of my space, out of my life, out of my home, so that my wings have enough room to fucking spread the fuck out. You feel me? So that's it. I didn't mean to do, like a lecture today or a freaking presentation or whatever, but it was on me, and I wanted to share that with you guys, and thank you for your patience on that. So, and I didn't intend for that to take 45 minutes, but it did. But it was on. So, let's, pivot. So since last Thursday, you all have been rocking with me on this trek that we're doing through this gangster book called Pure Lust. Pure Lust. Now, I'll be honest, I don't know what I expected. But when I started reading the book, I was like, the last few books that I've read here online have been, dope, but really heavy emotionally. And I recall in The Great Cosmic Mother, when she talked about this book, she was like, yes, she was talking about to sin, the origin of the word, the pre Abrahamic origin of the word meant to live or to be. To sin, S-I-N, means to live or to be. I was like, yes, let's talk about pure lust. Let's talk about pure lust. Let's talk about living a life of ecstasy. I didn't expect when we opened up this book that it was going to be something else. She's talking about pure lust, but essentially, especially since we ain't even through chapter 1 yet, she is talking about how the removal of pure lust came to be in the first place. How the removal of ecstasy came to be. And how it was replaced with phallic lust, with brutal lust, with dominating lust, with sadomasochistic lust, right? So I didn't expect that the book was going to be what it is. But I am so grateful for its presence. I am so grateful for the timeliness of its intervention. And with that being said, we are going to continue. I'll probably do a short read because it's already 47 minutes in. So I will do, let's see. So I'll read until I don't read. Okay? Okay. The time men are specific. Even the issue of female circumcision, which some feminists thought might unite the gathering, was caught up in third world politics. Although more happened at the UN Conference on Women than the journalists understood, the description, the Men's Conference of Women, is realistic. The delegates were confessing their faith in phallic structure. Oh, shit. Listen. The delegates were confessing their faith in phallic structures. Moreover, many other less official and officious gatherings of women who identify as feminists could also be dubbed men's conferences, insofar as male-identified concerns predominate over the cause of women. In such gatherings, the spirit, or rather the anti-spirit, of masosadistic politics is always manifested by horizontal violence, and by the manipulation of displaced guilt. In order to analyze this phenomenon, I will apply my 7-point analysis of sado-ritual syndrome, which in gynecology was used to detect patterns of gynocidal atrocities. First, in the Sado ritual, we find an obsession with purity. This is reflected in the obsession with confession that afflicts many women who have begun to have consciousness of oppression. Hannah Arendt precisely describes this sort of dislocation in her discussion of the self blame of young Germans in the 1960s for the Nazi atrocities perpetrated by their parents' generation. She wrote, quote, "It is quite gratifying to feel guilty if you haven't done anything wrong. How noble." Oh, shit. Oh, oh, oh. Whereas it is rather hard and certainly depressing to admit guilt and to repent. Listen, it is quite gratifying to feel guilty if you haven't done anything wrong. How noble. Whereas it is rather hard and certainly depressing to admit guilt and to repent. The youth of Germany is surrounded on all sides and in all walks of life by men in positions of authority and in public office who are very guilty indeed, but who feel nothing of the sort. The normal reaction to this state of affairs should be indignation, but indignation would be quite risky. Not a danger to life and limb, but definitely a handicap in a career. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Y'all ain't hearing. Y'all ain't hearing. Clearly, Arden is making the point that this spurious and displaced guilt functioned as a substitute for the courage to challenge the generation in power. Oh my God. Mm-mm. Oh my God. Listen, did y'all hear what she just said? Did anybody hear what she just said? We talk about this right now. White guilt, going into spaces, taking up space because you feel so bad about what your ancestors did. But in the real world, you're not doing anything that challenges the institution that still exists that did what your ancestors did. You still benefit off the side effects of the crimes that they committed against others, but you feel so bad. And it's so wrong what our ancestors did, but what can one person do? Oh shit, she said it. She said it's quite noble to feel guilty if you've done nothing wrong yourself. You see what I'm saying? Whereas it is much harder and certainly depressing to admit guilt and then repent. The youth of Germany is surrounded on all sides and in all walks of life by men in positions of authority and in public office who are very guilty indeed, but who feel nothing of the sort. The normal reaction to this state of affairs should be indignation, but indignation would be quite risky. Not a danger to your life, beneficiary of privilege, not a risk to your life and limb, but definitely a handicap in your career. Clearly, Arden is making a point that the spurious and displaced guilt functioned as a substitute for the courage to challenge the very generation in power. Instead of threatening the real criminals, this displaced self blame helped them to dismiss their guilt by misnaming it as collective. You said collective guilt. The idea that all members of a social construction, such as the nation, are guilty erases guilt by its implicit message that if all are guilty, none are guilty. Child, my mind be staying blown. This shit is a construction. We do not we do not spend enough time in study and in quiet to recognize the very deep and prolific, insidious ever present way that we are being played like a motherfucking fiddle, baby. And we all fall victim. Uh, Collective guilt. She said instead of threatening the real criminals, this displaced self blame helps them, the criminals, to dismiss their guilt by misnaming it as collective. Collective guilt, the idea that all members of a social construction, such as the nation, are guilty, erases guilt by its implicit message that if all are guilty, none are guilty. Arden's analysis is helpful in understanding the foreground conditions of consciousness and conscience in women. Frozen in unacknowledged fear, women, whether identifying themselves as feminist or not, often assume the guilt which the fathers and sons fail to feel. Shit! Oh my God. By doing so, they avoid confronting men in authority, and all males are institutional by, and all males are by institutional sexual definition in authority over certain women, which would indeed be quite risky, and in fact not only a handicap in a career. For unlike the young German males of the 60s, women in all the patriarchal states do live in danger of life and limb, whether or not this is overtly acknowledged. In this way, women perform the role of misfocusing their attention away from those who have institutional power in the structures of oppression, unrealistically assuming a sort of equal share of responsibility for economic and racial oppression, for the rape of nature, and even for the oppression of women. Oh my God. Having never heard or having fairly forgotten to name the masters, manipulators, murderers who rule the Sado state, women who are locked into the foreground fail to go to the heart of the problem. Displaced rage and myopic vision are rewarded by protection by liberal, leftist, and minority males. And gain approval from establishment males who sense accurately enough that the only dreadful danger derives from the emergence of revolting, lusty women. Oh shit. God. Y'all ain't. Yo. Mm. Second, in the Sado ritual syndrome, there is a total erasure of responsibility for the atrocities performed through such rituals. The atrocities of horizontal violence within women's groups are horrors for which no one is held responsible. Some light on this phenomenon can be obtained from reading R.J. Lifton's analysis of the cult of confession. But as totalist pressures turn, quote, this is a quote by the way, but as totalist pressures turn confession into recurrent command performances, the element of historical public display takes precedence over genuine inner experience. Each man becomes concerned over the effectiveness of his personal performance, and thus performance sometimes comes to serve the function of evading the very emotions and ideas about which one feels most guilty. End quote. Yo, yo. As Lifton shows, within such a climate, enthusiastic and aggressive confessors thrive, for they know that the more I accuse myself, the more I have the right to judge you. Okay. The identity of the judge penitent thus becomes a vehicle for taking on some of the environment's arrogance and sense of omnipotence. Like the foreground feminine, like the foreground female sadist who pretends in private to have power publicly, denied to her in the Sado society, the foreground feminist who plays the confessionalist games tries to participate in phallic omnipotence and arrogance by assuming the role of judge penitent. As a consequence of their penitent role, the judges of maso-sadistic politics accomplish total erasure of responsibility for the atrocities they perform against the women that they judge. The third aspect of Sado ritual practices is their inherent tendency to catch on and spread. It is clear that the follow this pattern for each penitent has earned the right to be judged, and her mandate is to manufacture more penitents who then can judge ad infinitum. Ad infinitum. The fourth aspect of Sado rituals is the fact that women are used as scapegoats and token torturers. The fourth aspect of Sado rituals is the fact that women are used as scapegoats and token torturers. When this is discovered as operative in foreground feminist circles, it is important to remember that such women are token torturers, serving the interests of fixers, framers, rakes, rippers, drones, and snools who applaud and promote such scenarios, such scapegoating. For example, Candace Owens. For example, well, yeah, we can name a list of these women who we know. Fifth, we find compulsive orderlessness. We find compulsive orderliness, obsessive repetitiveness, and fixation upon minute details which divert attention from the horror. This description precisely applies to the phenomena of confessionalism among women, which diverts attention away from the horror of gynocide. Sixth, behavior which at other times and places is unacceptable becomes acceptable and even normative as a consequence of conditioning through the ritual atrocity. As a result of recurrent command performances, such as what she's talking about, confession, as a result of recurrent command performances, foreground feminist horizontal violence. What is foreground feminist horizontal violence? The thing we talked about yesterday. This tendency that we're seeing a lot right now of quote the the um, the guardians of respectability politics in female bodies being used by males to parrot males. Uh, Respectability politics being used as double-edged blades against other women seeking empowerment, particularly through sexuality. Right? Here she say, the recurrent command performances foreground feminists, because feminists do this shit too. Feminists do this shit too. Feminists condemning other women, not realizing that they are actually tools of the same institution, functioning as tools within the context of the same institution. So foreground feminist horizontal violence, that's what the horizontal violence is when your feminism has you, looking down on verbally slaying other women because their beingness does not match your definition of feminism. Uh-oh. Foreground feminist horizontal violence becomes acceptable and normative among those who at other times and places have enthusiastically celebrated sisterhood. The seventh point, legitimation of the Sado ritual by the rituals of objective scholarship. Oh man, can be observed in reporting, interviews, in interviews and in studies reflecting the maso-sadistic confessionalist phenomenon. For those, for the most part, these fail to identify the fact that women obsessed with confessionalism are working to destroy each other and thus serving the interest of patriarchy itself. Sado spirituality 2, phallic flight from lust into transformed lechery in the name of the sublime or sublimation and of sublimation. Throughout this foreground, wanderlusters have confronted the first aspect of the Sado spiritual syndrome, namely Sado spirituality as phallic flight from lust into lustful asceticism. Y'all following? This aspect of the syndrome, so when she's talking about the flight from lust, the flight, let's see, phallic flight from lust into lustful asceticism, that conversation that we had earlier this week about the extreme opposing differences, but still rooted in the same thing between Gandhi and this dude Lawrence, this Catholic priest Lawrence. So go back to I think Monday and listen to the reading from there, but that's what she's talking about. This aspect of the syndrome, as I have tried to show, forms and fixes the conditions and conditioning which lusty women must move through and transcend as we enter the first realm. The second aspect of Sado spirituality must also be faced. This is the flight from lust into purified, putrefied, refined products of phallic lust. Such transformation takes a Trinitarian shape, manifesting itself in the seductions of Sado sublime, in the prosthetic products of Sado sublimation, and in the ghostly self-destructive messages of Sado sublimation and sublimination. By means of these transformations of phallic lust, the Sado society robs women of our ancestral memory. You understand? Of our ancestral memory. Blocking our capacity to conceive, utter, and act upon our own original elemental words. It is necessary that wanderlusters face this trinity as precondition for entering the realm of archispheres, the Sado sublime. The idea of the sublime has been used in connection with piety and art, sometimes combining the two, as describing pious art. Among the definitions of sublime as an adjective, we find lofty in conception or expression, and tending to inspire awe or uplifting emotion. This is sublime. As a verb, sublime has a definition that is especially important for diagnostic analysis. It means, quote, to cause to pass from the solid to the vapor state by the action of heat, and again condense to solid form. Many chemicals are sublimed to rid themselves of impurities. End quote. Listen to this. Males have tried to rid themselves of their impurities by subliming themselves into God. Oh my God. Who is sublime and who is so lofty that he really is nowhere and thus can be said to be everywhere. Y'all didn't hear what she just did. The unearthly males have vaporized and then condensed and reified their self images into the sublime product God. And they use this condensed and purified product as a mask to engender awe. The mask of the sublime Heavenly Father is trotted out whenever males perceive the need to pretend to be what they are not, which, under the present societal arrangements, is almost all of the time. Of course, Ronald Reagan has constantly used the mask of Heavenly Father, as did Carter, Ford, Nixon, and the rest before him. Not only do priests, rabbis, and ministers employ this device, but also non religious and even atheist psychiatrists, physicians, lawyers, scientists, and businessmen tap into this image, whether consciously or subliminally, is not the point. To elicit the awe of patients, clients, subjects, and other subordinates of all kinds. Oh shit. God. Not only the Heavenly Father, sublimed by males and employed as symbol of omnipotent, omnipresent masculinity, is called sublime. Within Christianity, the term is applied to God, the Son, and God, the Holy Ghost, who are believed to be co-equal with the Father. The term is also used to describe the images of total subservience, such as the Christian image of Mary, the dethroned and sapped goddess who was converted into a vessel chosen to be filled with an allegedly divine male offspring. Religious music and art devoted to the saga of these persons who are deemed sublime. So also are works of art which exalt the victimization of females by the secular institutions of patriarchy. Thus, the paintings of Raphael and Goya are sublime. The lyric poetry of the Romantic and Victorian poets is sublime. For by idealizing the feminine, these glorify the divine Father. Nature, too, is called sublime, insofar as this is captured in art and depicted as worshiping the Father. Agnostic subverters of the sublime recognize that the male myth makers have been able to manufacture and promote their sublimed products only at the expense of female transcendence. Indeed, they have stolen women's original words. Can somebody say Mama Zobe? Huh? Can somebody say Mama Zobe? Can somebody talk about the Sibyls? What she say here? Indeed, they have stolen women's original words, converting images of female transcendence into God, Father, Son, and company, unnaming and denying female participation in being. Then has been a base then has been a basic maneuver in the sado-spiritual flight from lust into transformed and refined lechery. Disguising male lust has been essential to this ruse. In creating sado-spiritual religion, men have fled into pseudo-purified and disguised lust in the name of the sublime. Phallic lust, Christian religion, mysticism, duty, charity, patriotism, romantic love is not only all right, but the height of virile virtue. Indeed, male rape fantasies become high theology and elicit religious rapture when these are vaporized and condensed, elevated and converted into dogma and art concerning the virgin birth. In the Annunciation, the male angel Gabriel brings poor Mary the news that she is to be impregnated by and with God. Like all rape victims in male myth, She submits joyously to this unspeakable degradation. Other sublime Christian symbols other sublime Christian symbols function as reifications of sublimed lust. As a consequence of subliming, the believer can enjoy symbolic eating and drinking of human flesh and blood without consciously feeling like a cannibal. The, um, Without consciously making them feel like a cannibal. The crucifix can be adored without conscious indulgence in sadomasochistic fantasies. Worshippers can stare at the image of a dead body nailed to dead wood without consciousness of the fact that the living tree was and is a symbol of the goddess. Priests can hear true confessions without feeling responsible for voyeurism. In the name of the sublime, the objects of phallic lust may be enjoyed without the burden of conscious guilt, which weighed down ascetics such as Saint Jerome with his bevy of imagery with his bevy of imaginary girls in the desert. However, the fixations are the same, and the consequences for women are always the same. Female victimization is glorified in sublime religion and art, but the victim does not experience this as glory, for the Sado sublime implies refined, perfected, heightened victimization. It is heightened lechery. Sado sublimation. To sublimate is to direct the energy of an impulse from a primitive aim to one that is higher on the cultural scale, especially in the course of psychoanalysis, end quote. Sublimation is defined as, quote, the discharge of extinction. Sublimation is defined as the discharge of instinctual energy through socially approved activities. Yo, sublime, to sublimate is to discharge one's instincts and replace them through socially approved activities. The Christian dogma of the incarnation is not only sublime, it is a paradigm of male sublimation. Indeed, it is the supremely sublimated male sexual fantasy, assuming fantastic, fantastic proportions. It is the mythic super rape. Since the Virgin Mother mythically represents all matter to the sublimers and sublimators, the myth of the incarnation symbolically legitimates the rape of all matter as well as all women, a project which has been a goal of patriarchal civilization for a millennium, but which has been sped up immeasurably in the age of computerized technology. Nuclearism, chemical contamination of the earth, planned famine, torture of political prisoners, torture of laboratory animals, obscene medical experimentation, all are discharges of male instinctual energy through activities that are socially approved by males. Moreover, the culture of phallicism, which is the offspring of such forcible rape, is the increasingly artificial environment which blocks elemental wild memory, knowing, being, and creation. This is the culture of warped words and ideas made flesh, the culture of sado-sublimation. Sado-sublimination. The adjective of subliminal means existing or functioning outside the area of conscious awareness, influencing thought, feeling, or behavior in a manner unperceived by personal or subjective consciousness. End quote. Moreover, subliminal means designed to influence the mind on levels other than that of conscious awareness, and especially by presentation too brief to be consciously perceived, i.e., subliminal techniques in television advertising. The widespread manipulation of minds by techniques that are subliminal in the last sense has resulted in the coinage of the noun sublimination, meaning the use of subliminal techniques as in advertising. End quote. The fact that subliminal perceptions exist is not contrary to elemental knowing and perceiving. Let's see. The fact that subliminal perceptions exist is not contrary to elemental knowing and perceiving. Indeed, concentration and focus require that we turn our attention to some aspects of experience, while others are only subliminally perceived. Quite distinct from this natural subliminal perceiving, however, is the manipulation of these levels, the use of subliminal techniques. The latter is clearly destructive. That's why I had to talk to y'all in the beginning. Because remember when I said this shit was taking up too much space? Everything in my head, the skills, the life experiences, learned experiences, the education is taking up too much head space, just like the stuff in my physical space is taking up too much space. What did I say about that? I said the problem is that you cannot experience, be still, be quiet, the rest, the relaxation. Remember we talked about that all last week. It is in those spaces where we actually breathe deep and relax and untense our body and breathe and are present and can hear, where we receive elemental knowing and perceiving. And taking advantage of this, a society is created to create the tense, shorten the breath, make us distracted so we can't be present, we can't be quiet, we can't be still. She's saying this right here. Mind management through subliminal manipulation did not begin with modern advertising, however. The use of the symbol of Mary by Christian missionaries as a tool for the conversion of pagans in Europe, for example, involved the manipulation of subliminal perceptions. Thus, the presentation of Mary and Christ as a sort of package deal was expedient for the conversion of the Celts, who were not habituated to being deprived of female divinity. Although the converts were taught that Mary is only human and not divine, their subliminal perception and identification with Mary, of Mary with the goddess, were used to seduce them into the Christian church. Moreover, the residue of apparently female qualities in the figure of Jesus, the androgynous product of pseudo-parthenogenesis, plays and preys upon the subliminal perceptions of and desires for female images of divinity. Mental manipulation then involves deliberate perversion of natural phenomena of subliminal perception so that it becomes a tool of the Sado state, whose rulers have used techniques of sublimination for centuries before the advent of technological sublimination. One need only visit a court of law or a physician's office to find evidence of the role of subliminal messages in maintaining the power dynamics of those professions. The omnipresent subliminal messages of the Sado state block and hide access to the realm of archospheres. They incapacitate and castrate women on a deep psychic level by their ghostly presences. They undermine women's powers to realize our own powers. Movement beyond, I'm going to finish reading this because this is the end of the chapter finally. Movement beyond pseudo-spirituality. By knowing and naming the destructive demons of pseudo-spirituality, nags gnaw our way through their blocks and blockades, entering the archospheres. In this knowing, naming, and gnawing, we have already encountered primal emanations of phallic lust. It would be dangerously delusory to imagine that this is over and done with as we approach the deep dimensions of archospheres. Indeed, the process of exorcism continues in heightened degrees, incorporated into the ecstatic process of releasing our elemental original words. Entering the archospheres involves expelling and dispelling the lethal products of pseudo-spirituality, the alien archetypes that imprison minds, the minds and passions of witches, weirds, Websters, wild women who long to be free. Ecstatic movement through this realm requires continuing expulsion of the pseudo spirits and pseudo spirits, the snooks spawned by the subliminating sages and saints of snooldom. Expelling these predatory presences, we move beyond the archetypes of the pseudo sublime, evoking the arc image, the original witch, racing through beyond the incantations of pseudo sublimation. We discover real presence, weaving through and past the minds of pseudo sublimation. We realize and thus unleash our elemental powers. That, my friends, is finally the end of chapter 1. We just getting started. That is the end of chapter 1. So I will return tomorrow at 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Let's see. We have so tomorrow I'll be back at 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time to continue the read of Pure Lust. We will be entering into chapter 2. For those of you who tuned in late, I'm reading from the book entitled Pure Lust, Elemental Feminist Philosophy by Mary Daly. Pure Lust. I encourage you, if you haven't gotten the book, to get the book so you can follow along and take notes as I am doing. And this will be the subject of our oracle studies for some time. The title of chapter 2 is Beyond the Pseudo Sublime, Exercising Archetypes and Evoking the Archimage. So that's what we'll pick up tomorrow. I appreciate your patience. I appreciate your fortitude and stick-with-itness. And I am grateful for your presence, your time, and thank you so much. My name is Cassandra Faye Floyd, also known as the Daughter of the Fates, founder of the Temple of Evolutionary Emergence, and I will see you again tomorrow. Have a bountiful evening.